conversation. So Desiree Thayer here, Genius Loves Company, bridging the Music Tech Connect, where everyone is genius, but musicians are my favorite. So I'm pretty excited to announce we are going to be partnering up with Maxwell's House of Music this fall. We're going to be hosting our first annual Music Tech Connect Career Fair. So stay tuned for details to come. So with me today, I have got the real Frank Green, who definitely represent my demographic. I discovered a lot of years ago the Music Tech Connect, same center of the brain. And actually, when I met you, I only knew you from music because you had a completely different career. So would you mind just opening up and telling us a little bit about you and how you transitioned into technology career?
I come from a weird background, employment-wise, in the fact that I've never done the same thing twice. I'm not one of those people who has a resume and sticks to the resume and has an education and sticks to the to the education. Every job I've ever had has been completely different than the one I've had before. I'm now in the technology business, but I came to that business from the in-ground concrete swimming pool business.
Right.
So, I mean, and before that, I mean, I've had warehouse jobs, I've had music store jobs, I've had ridiculous. Nothing ever is consistent. I don't like to stay in one place very long. This is the longest time I've ever been at a job, and it's 8 years, and I'm really feeling the urge to jump. But no, it's good. But I'm a project manager at a company, and we do networked audio for mostly the transportation vertical. Airports mainly being our biggest clients, or our biggest end users. Communication systems for airports, networked audio in airports, so where we're not working on strictly copper everywhere. The only things that are a lot of being pulled on copper anymore are only speakers, and a lot of those are moving to IP speakers now. But the company I work for really, the guy who started the company really invented the niche. His name was Hardy Martin, and there were no airport communication systems before he decided. Hello, there you go.
Yep, there you are.
Before he decided to develop the technology, and that's really bizarre. But he created a whole industry himself, in an industry that's gone on to be imitated by QSC, Biamp, Bosch, Bogan, a lot of different big companies, and JBL Harman. They've gotten out of the business because it's such a niche that they can't get a handle on it. It's too specialized. So we invented the market, and we are synonymous with this type of system, like Kleenex is synonymous with facial wipes or Post-it notes. No matter what brand it is, it's called a Post-it note. They're called these an IED system. That's our name. That's our name. Innovative Electronic Designs. So we are kind of the generic call term for the whole industry, even our competitors. Wow. So it's kind of a cool business. But I'm a project manager there, and I just heard I heard cats. I make sure resources are where they need to be when they're supposed to be, and that we're taking care of our end users, and we're delivering the system that they signed up to get.
Herding cats sounds a lot like doing the music thing.
Yeah, it's a lot like that.
Transferable skills.
Yes, absolutely.
So I want to ask you, when I talk to you, I've talked to you about Music Tech Connect a few times. I think I've mentioned it. So what does that mean to you? Do you see any, patterns, transferable skills between music and technology? Because one of the goals that I've been wanting to do is create opportunities and show musicians that you can still play your music, do what you love, and support yourself doing it in a technology job where the learning curve probably isn't as great as maybe some other type of position.
That's maybe a little harder for me to kind of to quantify and to put my finger on. It really is tough. I've thought about this since you invited me to do this, and I'm still trying to put my finger on what it actually means.
MusicTechConnect?
Tell me your definition. How can you do that?
Well, so what I discovered, is that music and computer programming, musicians playing music and improvising on patterns, and computer programming is based on a pattern. And there's certain things that you can go, just like in a musical scale, you've got your circle of fifths. As a musician, that there's specific patterns that you can go to when you're in a situation. And
Right.
And so to me, math and computer programming and performing music really feels like the same center of the brain, but what it is in addition is more creative. So I've found that there's a lot of computer programmers out there that are just brilliant, but I've found that the musicians, the ones that actually perform music either on stage or still in their basement, they tend to be better in their field. Maybe it's because of a passion, or maybe it's because they've learned how to improvise. They've learned that social skill that a lot of computer people maybe don't have the opportunity to.
Yeah, and it seems like a lot of them are. Music development in a technical sense is highly relatable and highly correlating to being stimulated in the brain and to keeping your students who do well at music almost always do well at school, and students who do well at school, especially math and sciences, are really kind of the same brain as a musician. I've found, but I know what you're talking about. I have a lot of friends who are super tech people who are also musicians. But by the same token, I know some of my super brilliant friends who aren't tech people who are the dumbest tech people in the whole world. So, of course, there's exceptions to every rule, but I haven't. I'm not super technical. I started in my job as a systems tech, a junior systems tech, which was just a kind of a grunt job. I set IPs on things, and I just did basic networked audio kind of grunt work, and it moved directly kind of into a tech support and a setting up whole systems kind of thing, which is really almost kind of directly focused on our business. It's not there are things that I have to go in, like for servers or for machines, and I have to change things in the BIOS, and I have to change this, and I have to do all these updates, and I have to change part of the updates and remove part of the code and stuff like that. But I'm not wired like a software engineer or a hardware or a firmware engineer or anything like that. My depth of knowledge never got anywhere near that, and it still doesn't, and it still isn't that way.
Right.
I like to keep it. I like to learn. I like to glean what I can out of a certain pond, and I like to move on and fish somewhere else. You know what I mean? And not just talking job wise, but as far as skill wise, I like to know just enough to be dangerous over here,
Right.
and then take that knowledge and I'll move to the next pond and fish it until I know I can fish it, and I'll learn something from there, and then I move on to the next pond. Okay, I can fish this. I'll learn this over there, and that's pretty much how I function in every aspect of my life.
Right. So are you all working in Windows environments or Linux environments?
We are totally Windows based.
Okay. And then so the code that you're looking at and moving around, even though you're not programming in it, is it .NET based?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah. Interesting. So I think of you more as, you're definitely a project manager, but I think you also have the mindset of an infrastructure architect, where you're basically seeing this big picture and then having to go in and fix and move pieces around to make sure that everything talks to itself to work together.
Yeah, and that kind of goes, and that kind of lends itself to like, you know, milestones and timelines and shareholders and things like that that you get into with project management. You got to have the big view. You got to be able to see. You maybe don't have to know every intricate detail, but you have to be able to stand over the maze and go, okay, we're starting here and we're ending here. So let me trace the path. Let me find the shortest way and the path of least resistance to get to these points. And that's really kind of where I'm living right now.
Right on, right on. So there's a lot of things that I want to dive into, but I want to go back to the most important thing, which is music, because that's, you know, I'm passionate about music. I just have to work a job to support myself, right? I think that's what most musicians would say. So I am really curious. You have been, how old were you when you picked up your first instrument?
The first guitar I ever picked up was probably 5 or 6, but I mean, it was just like, it was just something that was around the house. I didn't play it. It didn't have strings on it, but that was the first guitar I ever picked up. But playing wise, probably really 11 or 12.
11 or 12. All right. And so when did you put your first band together?
I joined my first band when I was 16. My friend Billy Masterson, who I didn't know at the time, I had a couple of school friends who knew Billy, and they told me they were looking for a bass player, and I went over and I rented an amplifier and I walked to his house, and one afternoon after school, and I auditioned, and that was it. And I was in the band. That was the first band I was ever in.
Is that was Boozer around then too?
Oh no, this is 1985 or 6. Yeah, something like that. So it's been a while.
Now, I think you've told me one time that you counted up the number of bands that you've been in, but you've also had some really beautiful, you know, I consider a beautiful success because you actually had a product out there and it's incredible music. But how many bands have you been a part of?
What I would call bands, probably 10. There are a lot of things that I've gotten together with people and we played for, you know, a month or two and then kind of just fell off. But as far as what I would call bands, probably 10. I like to keep it simple for the most part. Not always, but there for a while I was in 4 bands about 3-4 years ago. So I didn't like, there's not much of a shelf life there.
Now, I assume that you've got a project that you're working on right now. I mean, I've seen the teasers that you sent out a while back, but how close are we to being released on this new project?
Well, we were supposed to be released this month, but you know, if you can't mix it, you can't get together with your engineer to mix.
Corona.
Yeah. So we were supposed to be mixing this month, and it was supposed to be and mastered. We're going to send it off to Kevin Ratterman in LA to master. And yeah, I mean, so I'm kind of to the point where I'm, you know, I just want to tell her to do the mixes.
I want to hear this. I want to hear this.
And if
so if things quiet down and go back to normal, which I don't even know. I guess I want to hear your opinion on this too, as well, the state of what we're living in. But, you know, barring any unforeseen circumstances, do you have your first gig planned?
Yeah, but I don't think we had a gig planned for June 7th, but I really seriously doubt that's going to happen.
Way too close.
Yeah, and I just don't think that. I think that people are going to clear their schedules and go, okay, what can we do to make the most money in the shortest amount of time? I need those acts in here, and I think it's going to kind of be one of those things that everything that's not totally essential to making money, I think those dates are going to get pushed way out, and people who are relying on that money and the clubs are going to get really picky here in the next few months as far as what's essential and what's not, and clear the calendars that way.
Right.
Could be wrong.
I'm missing music a lot. So I'm curious because every great musician I know has, you know, quit music once or twice in their lifetime, but they continue to come back. Would you say music is easy or hard? And so I guess, first of all, is music easy or hard?
Oh, it's easy.
And have you quit before?
I've quit multiple times. I've quit 3 times.
And what makes you come back?
I don't know. What makes you call an axe? Something was good. There's something you miss.
Right.
And it really just takes it's just kind of I say drying out. It really takes an airing out. You just need time to air your brain, and you're kind of, when I've gotten to the point where I've quit, it's been because I've been involved with a band or a situation that has been taxing emotionally, and has to where it's not just to where you have to make decisions above and beyond friendship, to where you have to make decisions about to where you have to make decisions that are above and beyond the band, where you go, okay, do I even want this person as a in my life anymore, as a friend, or those are the times when I've gone, okay, I need to go away because I'd like to preserve this relationship with this person, and the only way I'm going to do it is to remove myself from the situation, or in the situation, and have everybody go and figure their lives out, or figure themselves out, and figure where we all went wrong or right, and then figure it out, and then come back to it and revisit on a personal level. Usually it's when it's not about music anymore. It starts to be personal, and music shouldn't be that. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't get feelings about people that you're doing it with, because if you do bad feelings, then you're not in the right situation, and it's not working out for you, and you have to separate yourself. So, and I tend to have tended to put all of myself into something to where it feels like I'm personally invested. And when I'm personally invested and working towards a goal, and someone else is not working towards that same goal, I take it personally, because I look at their investment, and I look at their intelligence in the situation, and I go, you're not putting your best foot forward, and I am, and I feel like I'm wasting my time, and let's just figure it out from separate corners. That's really giving it up.
I like that perspective a lot, because that kind of brings me back to my my foundation, which is resonance. One of the things that you and I've talked a lot about is music is sound, frequency, vibration, and when we meet people that we resonate with, which that Jeff Skunk Baxter video that you shared with me, loved his perspectives. And so do you have any thoughts on, or anything that you could share on your perspectives on when you meet people, music, why do things click? Talk to me a little bit about resonance and frequency.
From my perspective, everything, every living thing in nature, every living organism vibrates at a certain frequency, and everything vibrates when you're living, even in the smallest fashion. Everything from a plant to grass. I'm not a tree hugger, but from the grass on up to the tallest tree, it all vibrates if you are living in that same frequency range. There are things that are higher and lower that we can't hear, we can't feel or sense, but they're not meant for us, like dog stuff and stuff that's really super on the low end. You just things that can only be detected on a tectonic level, or in a mass on a mass level. Anyway, I think everything has a resonance, and I think what we talked about was, when you meet somebody and you immediately click with somebody, I think half of that, or more than half of that, is because you are resonating on the same frequency, or you have a frequency, they have a frequency that they vibrate that is either sympathetic to yours. When they, just like when you pick up a guitar and you pluck a string like an A note, you will get another string that vibrates at an A frequency, even though it's not tuned to A. That's called a sympathetic resonance. And that really is because the wood transfers that vibration so well that it moves another string that is not tuned to that same pitch, and it makes it vibrate. That's like, oh, and that is, things like that are because that note that's vibrating within you, somewhere in that scale is their note, whether it's like a fifth or a fourth or a third, somewhere in that scale, or whether it's an octave up, and you go, oh, they're the female version of me. It's a higher, just an octave up. But I think that's the basis for instant attraction, and for people, like-minded people who, and it's not just male to female, it's like-minded people who vibrate the same way. I kind of, look when the one band I was in with a couple of friends, and we were all from different kind of situations, and one from a different part of the country. And we have all these weird outside influences, but we had this core of influences that we all shared together as three people. And we could, when we played, it was like, whoop, it was instantaneous. It was like, what's going on with this? This is absolutely, it's magical. And that's because of that vibration that we all shared. That's part of our learning process. That's part of built up to who we've been and who we are now. That process of putting it all together, and that those same shared building blocks or the things that we had in common, and those are the things that resonated between the three of us when we play. It sounds hokey, but it's absolutely true. And you take one person out of that, and everything goes sideways,
right?
No matter what. So I do believe in vibration and resonance, person to person, being the key to connecting with another person. Period.
I love it. I love it. Absolutely. Well, there's so many things that I could go on and on about, but I do have one question for you before we close. And so that is there room for a 5-string bass in classic rock and roll?
I hope not.
Anyway, so Frank Green, do you want to tell us about your latest project so that we can direct people whenever you do release it digitally?
Sure.
Or
Yeah, sure. The band is called Silkwood Showers. The album is going to be called The Great Depression. And it's going to be all over iTunes and any place you buy and stream music. It's going to be in all those spots. You can find us on Facebook. It's Silkwood Showers. We have a YouTube channel, Silkwood Showers. We got a Twitter account, Silkwood Showers, at Silkwood Showers. We've got that's really it for now until we have the finished product out. Hopefully in the middle of May. That's pretty much where you can find us. Facebook, YouTube. We have clips up on YouTube, some stuff in the studio, but mostly just clips from the songs. And right before the album comes out, we're gonna have some videos up that are just entire songs. So YouTube, Silkwood Showers, Facebook, Silkwood Showers for now. And yeah, that's the best way.
Awesome. I am definitely looking forward to it. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I miss you a lot. I can't wait till we get out of this quarantine business. I want to have people back in the studio so we can keep doing our music.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Love you, Frank Green.
You too.
Yeah.